An effort to gather enough signatures for a ballot measure to expand the convention center has apparently failed. But the city council may find a way to keep the proposal afloat.
How many times will we have to complain and wait? I'm tired of waiting.
Activists are demanding changes to the civilian oversight of the San Diego Police Department, but a series of city council delays will keep it off the November ballot.
I could not be in this house without my family's help.
Rising home prices in California raise a lot of questions, like who's buying and how can they afford it? For some, the answer is a little help from the family. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. An initiative to expand the San Diego Convention Center has failed to immediately qualify for the ballot today. But KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says the proposal is not quite dead.
This morning, the San Diego City Clerk announced the Citizens Initiative, Yes for a Better San Diego, would need a full vetting of signatures to make sure enough were valid for it to qualify for the ballot. The measure would raise the city's hotel room tax to pay for the convention center expansion. That project has long been a priority for the city's business establishment and tourism industry. The measure would also give a smaller amount of money to homeless programs and infrastructure. The Citizens Initiative was supported by a coalition of business and labor groups. They've spent more than $1.4 million on political consulting, polling, and signature gathering. But all that money was not enough to pave a quick and easy path to the November ballot. In a last-ditch effort to save the convention center project, Mayor Kevin Faulconer said he would ask the city council to place something on the November ballot. A staff report posted online showed the mayor's plan was largely based on the Citizens Initiative. In a statement on Twitter, Faulconer said San Diegans are demanding action be taken, and he would not be deterred. The council will discuss the mayor's request at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Any tax measure that the council places on the ballot would need a 2/3 approval from voters to pass. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
The November county supervisor race between Democrat Nathan Fletcher and Republican Bonnie Dumanis is one of the most watched this year. Both candidates are also collecting a lot of campaign cash. iNewsSource reporter Jill Castellano has more.
Combined, Fletcher and Dumanis have now raised more than $1 million for their campaigns. That's according to financial reports they filed last week. The 5 members of the Board of Supervisors are all Republicans, and Fletcher could change that. Mesa College politics professor Carl Luna says no other local race matters like this one does.
For the most part, if you wanted to spend money in San Diego, this is the race to bet on, and neither party wants to get caught short on that.
Among those giving to Fletcher since the June primary are San Diego Council members Barbara Bree and Georgette Gomez. He also got a donation from San Diego Assemblyman Todd Gloria, among others in the state legislature. Dumanis has collected donations from former San Diego Mayor Jerry Sanders and County Supervisors Chairwoman Kristen Gaspar. To dig deeper into who's giving to the local candidates, go to data.inewssource.org. For KPBS, I'm iNewsSource reporter Jill Castellano.
A federal judge in San Diego is continuing a temporary injunction in a lawsuit over the separation of immigrant families. KPBS reporter Jade Hyman explains.
Well, ultimately, Judge Dana Sabra's action today ensures families are kept together during immigration proceedings pending the court ruling on the matter and not separated by deportation. The initial lawsuit filed by the ACLU required the reunification of children separated from their parents under the Trump administration's zero-tolerance border prosecution policy. While some parents and children have been reunited, the ACLU has argued that those newly reunited families are not being given time to decide if they will seek asylum before being deported. They say the stay gives them time for meaningful consultation.
Families need to be together. These decisions are sometimes life and death. They're monumental decisions. They're decisions about whether to deport or stay, whether to go back to a country that you fled or not, whether to separate and maybe never see each other again.
Now, with the temporary restraining order in place, the ACLU has a 7-day period to help consult families seeking asylum. Recently, Judge Sabra called out the Trump administration for losing track of hundreds of parents it deported without their children. His concern is that now those children will be permanently orphaned since the government is unable to locate the parents. Another hearing is scheduled for Friday. Jade Hindman, KPBS News.
Chula Vista is threatening to join a legal fight that could slow down progress on its Bayfront Hotel and Convention Center project. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman says the city is concerned about a legal tangle involving the airport, car rental companies, and the Port of San Diego.
Chula Vista has been working for years on a Bayfront resort, but funding for the project's parking garage could be in question. It's kind of complicated. The Port of San Diego recently passed a user fee for rental car companies who operate along the waterfront to pay for a parking garage. The port did this in the past to build a similar structure near the San Diego Convention Center. But since then, a number of car rental companies have moved onto the San Diego Airport Authority's leasehold. 2 of those companies filed suit against the Port of San Diego, alleging that the fee is a tax that needs to be approved by voters. Now the San Diego Airport Authority has also joined the legal fight. It says the fee is illegal and should be repaid to the rental car companies. But the port says this fee collection is protected under state law. And now Chula Vista finds itself caught in the middle of all this legal wrangling. Last night, its city council voted to support the Port of San Diego and authorized its city attorney to join the legal fight.
We were totally blindsided by the actions that the airport authority took. And it took us all by surprise. And quite frankly, it's a pretty outrageous thing that they have done. And, you know, the people of the South Bay and Chula Vista have been waiting for this development on the Bayfront for years and years and years.
The car rental fee comes from what is called transportation vendors, which to the port means rental car operators. But the airport authority says that definition is broad and could also include taxis or rideshare companies. The port's board is meeting to discuss this lawsuit tomorrow. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
San Diego's Salk Institute settles 2 of 3 gender discrimination lawsuits. The top women scientists accuse Salk administrators of disparaging their work and shutting them off out of advancements. In a joint statement, Salk and researchers agreed to move forward and continue to work together. This comes on the heels of the resignation earlier this year of a renowned Salk biologist accused of sexually harassing at least 8 women. The Navy announced Tuesday that a crewman of a Seahawk helicopter was killed at a Naval Air Station North Island after a fuel tank fell on him. The accident happened on the night of July 30th. Crewman First Class Jonathan Richard Clement died from his injuries the following day. The cause of the accident is under investigation. He and a second crewman were working on a helicopter like the one seen here. The other crewman was treated and released. The San Diego City Council has approved a 20-year lease that will pave the way for a museum and community center near Chicano Park. The center will be on city-owned land and will include a gallery and exhibition space, conference rooms for arts, history, and science, and hands-on activities. The space is on National Avenue and formerly housed an adult education campus. Under the lease, the Chicano Park Museum and Cultural Center will pay about $4,000 a year. A proposal to overhaul citizens' oversight of San Diego police officers died last week. As KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen explains, it was killed by a series of delays, and activists are upset.
How many times will we have to complain and wait? I'm tired of waiting.
This is community activist Tasha Williamson speaking to the City Council Rules Committee on April 11th. It was the first time council members publicly discussed the latest proposal by the group Women Occupy San Diego to beef up civilian oversight of the police. Here's group member Kate Yavenditti.
We've talked to a lot of community members, we've done a whole lot of work, and we have learned that people in the community simply do not trust the current CRB process.
CRB stands for the Community Review Board on Police Practices. The board reviews investigations into complaints of officer misconduct, as well as in-custody deaths and police shootings. Women Occupy San Diego wanted to ask voters to create a new commission with the power to conduct its own investigations, separate from those done by the police department's Internal Affairs Division. Yavenditti says she knows current CRB members work really hard.
And unfortunately, most of the community simply still doesn't trust that because of the process. They don't trust a process that is dominated by the police department.
The Rules Committee in April voted to delay further discussion of the change to get feedback from CRB members, the police chief, and the police officers union.
The way that it's drafted right now is really kind of vaguely written, a lot of gray areas.
Jack Schaefer is president of the San Diego Police Officers Association. The union made no secret of its opposition to the proposal. Schaefer says SDPD's Internal Affairs Division has ace detectives and that San Diego's CRB is working just fine.
The CRB has the benefit of being able to look at a thorough investigation, getting to see all the body-worn cameras, any other video and evidence, and pick it apart, basically. So it's almost like they're auditing. So review really isn't a strong enough word. They're auditing the work of experts.
Schaefer also has doubts a new commission would build more trust in law enforcement.
I think there's always going to be some parts of the community that don't trust for whatever reason. No matter what we're going to do, there's still going to be mistrust in the community by some.
Fast forward to July 30th, when the proposal to overhaul the CRB died. City Council members deadlocked on whether to start negotiations over the measure with the police union. Councilman Scott Sherman said time had run out.
To get to a ballot coming up this November, there's no way we can get through this process. We can have a conversation about the next election in a couple of years, but I don't see how we get through it today, and that's why I can't support the motion on the floor.
Talks with the unions probably did need more time than the city council's schedule allowed, but Yavenditti said in an interview after the measure's failure that the union issue could have been dealt with months ago.
It's clear when you look at the timeline that there has been delay built in the timeline of getting our item on the agenda, getting information to us, and then this last-minute vote.
Some activists blame Council President Myrtle Cole, who controls city council agendas, for running out the clock and letting the measure die. Cole's office declined an interview request, but when asked when she first became aware of the city's obligation to meet and confer with the police union, a spokeswoman referred to a city attorney memo from July 19th. She did not mention that 3.5 weeks before that memo, Cole and her council colleagues had already discussed their obligation to talk with the unions in closed session. Cole's spokeswoman says the council president supported the proposal, and it followed the regular process of getting on the ballot. Despite that support, voters will likely have to wait until 2020 at the earliest to decide whether to increase civilian oversight of the police. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
The DMV says it's doing what it can to shorten wait times at offices across the state. The State Assembly held a second hearing on the issue today in Sacramento, but decided not to go ahead with a thorough audit of the department. The decision followed an intense 2-hour hearing with DMV Director Gene Shimoto.
I'm shocked by the amount of anger and frustration that's just organic, that's out there, that people stop me in the street and tell me about. And I continue to hear that. I'm sure some of these things are helping, but I won't be satisfied until I hear from constituents that their experience at the DMV is what they expect it to be.
The legislature previously allocated nearly $70 million in additional funding to roll out Saturday hours at field offices statewide. The weekend hours are intended to help with a surge of incoming applications for the federally mandated Real ID cards. A new report says home affordability in California is at its lowest level in a decade. The California Association of Realtors says only 26% of home buyers can afford a medium-priced single-family home. Carr says that median price is close to $600,000 and says you need to make more than $126,000 a year to qualify. California home prices keep going up, so Who's buying and how are they affording it? Our California Dream collaboration found one answer in federal data. KPCC's David Wagner's digs into the numbers, showing buyers are increasingly getting help from mom and dad.
This is what you get in Los Angeles, $500,000 for 2 small bedrooms and a small living space. But this is totally unaffordable for my family. There's so many people like myself who can't afford to live in a house like this, and I do wonder who can.
It's often people with family money. We looked at data on FHA loans. They're a popular kind of mortgage for first-time buyers. Back in 2011, about 25% of people getting FHA loans in California were getting help with their down payments from their family members. But today, that's up to 33%. And there are a lot of zip codes in California where over half of buyers are now getting that kind of family help.
I think parents just want them to make it on their own and know they can't do it. I have one that's just went into escrow yesterday. They're having money gifted from the family.
Gerber says about half of her borrowers are now getting help, including her son. She gave him about $10,000 to buy a house in Riverside.
I saw the prices going higher and higher, and I knew that if we didn't help him, he would not be able to buy something when he was actually ready to purchase.
I definitely feel like I was able to achieve the California dream, since a lot of people nowadays can't afford houses.
Brandon has renters, so he can easily cover his portion of the mortgage. He says it costs less than renting an apartment, and he's building equity.
I could not be in this house without my family's help. The down payment, is a huge amount of money. I do everything possible to show that I am grateful for what they did.
The median price of a California home is now more than double the national average, so of course parents want to help out their kids. But housing experts say that this could make the state's existing economic inequality much worse, possibly pushing people out of state.
We have been considering moving to another state. My sister-in-law lives in Texas. We've thought about moving there. I would love to stay in Los Angeles. I would love to stay in California, but it doesn't look good for us.
That story was reported with help from KPCC's Aaron Mendelson. If you'd like to see how many buyers are getting family help for down payments in your neighborhood, head to kpbs.org.
I'm William Brangham. Tonight on the NewsHour, 2 nail-biter races still too close to call in Ohio and Kansas. What the latest primary results reveal about the general election. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Officials with CAL FIRE say rugged, inaccessible terrain is making it difficult for firefighters to battle the MENDOCINO complex fire that continues to spread quickly in Northern California. More than 100 houses have been destroyed. 10,000 others are threatened. A record number of firefighters have been deployed, including crews from Australia and New Zealand. Fire officials are urging residents to be aware of fire dangers by taking proactive measures.
95% of all fires in California are human caused. So, maybe the single biggest change we can make is for people to be more aware and vigilant that the activities that take place outside, whether that be mowing, throwing a cigarette out the window, driving your car into dry brush, has a big impact on potentially a fire starting and burning in California.
CAL FIRE isn't expecting to be able to contain the fire until September. Another hot day in San Diego, and it won't cool down much tonight. Julia Wyden has tonight's forecast.
Good evening. Hope you've been having a wonderful Wednesday. As we take a look at our satellite and radar imagery here, you can see that it's been dry all across Southern California. Some showers and storms well off to the south and east there. I think that's where they're going to be staying as we continue on through these overnight hours. It'll be staying dry here in San Diego, though. You take a look at your temperatures and you can see that they're going to be dropping down into about the mid-70s. Coastline areas will experience partly cloudy skies. Farther off to the east, off towards Borrego Springs and Mount Laguna, you are looking at the chance for a passing shower or thunderstorm. Borrego Springs going to be down to 81, looking at a pretty warm night. For here in the metro area, we'll be dropping down to the mid-70s, like I mentioned. Mostly clear skies, but that really humid feel, so expect a sticky and muggy night on tap. For your Thursday, watching for some showers and storms to pop up in those higher elevation areas. Coastline regions should be staying dry. Farther off to the east, in the lower elevations over towards the deserts, that's where it is going to be hot yet again. We're looking at a high temp in Borrego Springs at 105, should be around 82 in Mount Laguna. Lots of sunshine along the coast, and San Diego climbing up to 89 degrees. High pressure over our area will help to really ramp up the heat. As we take a look at what's in store for the weekend, it stays dry. That's an unfortunate thing because we still have several fires going on across the Southwest. Some rain would really help to put that out. As we take a look at the forecast at the coast, we'll be in the upper 80s for Thursday and Friday, a little cooler for the weekend with partly sunny skies. Inland, your temperatures are in the upper 90s on Thursday, mid 90s for Friday. The weekend a bit better in the upper 80s to low 90s. And your forecast for the mountains, 82 for Thursday. Into the weekend, we'll be watching the threat for a shower or thunderstorm around. That's for both Friday and for Saturday. Temps will be in the upper 70s. Over towards the desert regions, again, be mindful of that potential for a shower or thunderstorm on Thursday. Temperatures remain in the triple digits straight through the weekend. Back to you, Ebony.
A reef in Florida is home to the cremated remains of 1,500 people. AP reporter Josh Rapogel says loved ones believe a second life awaits their family in the form of coral.
Just a few miles off Miami Beach, 3 generations of one family travel to a sacred spot. Will Payne tightens his belt. Oxygen levels are good.
Whenever you're ready, come over and hit.
And down he goes. 40 feet beneath the water's edge, bringing his parents to a final resting place.
So being the ashes down there is all that basically becomes life down there.
Buell and Linda Payne's ashes were melded into this concrete pillar.
And they will live on forever.
Here at Neptune Memorial Reef, coral will soon grow from the ashes, giving the Paynes a literal second life. The reef is home to the cremated remains of 1,500 people, and the Paynes are the first to be interred in an expansion. As reefs struggle with bleaching and other threats, the memorial's permit was granted to help encourage the ecosystem.
You know, the way coral grows is we have a layer of coral. It absorbs limestone and it creates rock, and so it builds layer after layer. And this way we've given the reef a head start. We're creating life after life.
Family members snorkel and look down from above as their loved ones are placed. And Will says his final goodbye beneath the ocean.
I guess if there was heaven, that would be it for them down there. Definitely.
Roses are tossed to mark the spot, and saying goodbye is tough for this son.
Anytime I had an issue, I would call her for advice.
We're going to head on in.
But the deceased will have new life.
We're hoping that we're going to build a big reef and that you won't be able to see where Mom and Dad were. You'll just know generations from now that they are part of that reef, that they are, created it.
As the reef expands, it will create room for thousands more to become part of new life down below. Josh Rapogel, The Associated Press, Miami Beach, Florida.
Adorable foster families are welcoming guests at the San Diego Zoo. Meet the zoo's newest greeters, 13 flamingo chicks. 12 are being cared for by foster parents. The chicks were hatched at the zoo's safari park, which is one of the largest flamingo flocks in the world. As part of their long-term conservation plans, care staff has decided to let flamingos without chicks of their own bring them up.
This is an exciting time of year at the San Diego Zoo. This is the time that we have flamingo babies. And this year we have more babies than we've had in several years. Each pair has one egg, and so there's quite a bit of parental care. Both the male and female care for the chick, feed the chick. They escort the chick around the entire exhibit, including in the water. They're able to swim at a week of age.
The flamingos and chicks are from 2 different but closely related species. The zoo's bird curator says the parents don't know the chicks are not their own and says so far he's pleased with their parenting skills. Coming up tomorrow morning on Evening Edition on KPBS Radio, more than 250,000 Filipinos fought alongside American soldiers in World War II. But after the war, many were denied the veterans' benefits they were promised. Now a bill in Congress aims to address the issue. But will it come in time for the last remaining veterans? And then on Midday Edition, more on the Convention Center ballot initiative and the efforts to save it. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us, and now we leave you with the sounds of Jasmine Fuego, recorded at the Capitol Public Radio Station in Sacramento. Have a great night.
Like the way you move me when you do those things you do. Nothing's better than a girl who knows she's a queen, aware that her word is much more than she sees. No one can tell her who she ought to be, 'cause this life is a journey and she's learning to do her thing. This life is a journey and she's yearning to do her thing. 'Cause ooh, I like the way you move me. Ooh, I like the way you move. Ooh, I like the way you move me when you do those things you do. She'll be breaking out the confines, tearing walls down. No, she ain't lost, just looking for a crown. She's breaking out the confines, tearing walls down. No, she ain't lost. She might be quiet, she can be loud. Some days insecure, while others too proud. There's more than one way to express yourself, 'cause this life is a journey and she's learning how to do her thing.